exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Aaron Williams. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us on what is, a very important Tuesday for the Jacksonville Jaguars, as both offensive coordinator Grant Udinski and defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile are going to be back in Jacksonville in 2026. Now, I sat here in front of this very microphone 24 hours ago, and I told you that I believed that Grant Udinski was very much in play in Buffalo. I'll stand by that. I still do think that he was very much in play in Buffalo. But in the end, the Bills chose to go for familiarity. The Bills wanted to appease Josh Allen, and Buffalo decided to promote Joe Brady. No problem. I don't necessarily disagree with their line of thinking there, but I'm very pleased also with their line of thinking, because that means that Grant Udinski is back with the Jacksonville Jaguars. As far as Anthony Campanile goes, I also think he was very much in the conversation with Arizona. People I talked to out there said, look, they like him. They like him a lot. You don't virtually interview somebody and then fly them out to do a second in-person interview unless you're in the mix, you're in the conversation. But at the end of the day, Arizona looks like they're going to go in a different direction. Campanile pulls his name out, and both Campanile and Udinski back in Jacksonville in 2026. So I got a lot of thoughts about that we will certainly get to. Also, if you heard the 2-minute drill there, the crossover with Baloo, shame on the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I am a diehard Bill Belichick supporter. Far from it, actually. I got tired of him beating up on the Jaguars and every other team. But for that man to not be a first ballot Hall of Famer is a crock. It's a joke. I mean, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, what credibility they had for the 11 guys. There were reportedly 11 people. 11 of them did not vote for Bill Belichick to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That news coming out within the last 90 minutes or so. Again, whatever credibility they had, I thought they had actually lost some. Be honest with you, the Fred Taylor stuff bothered me a couple weeks ago. How Fred Taylor is a finalist 2 years in a row and not a finalist this year, I thought was ridiculous. This is tenfold that. Bill Belichick, 31 playoff wins, most of any coach in the history of football. 6 Super Bowls, most of any coach in the history of the NFL. And you're not going to put that guy as a first ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer? Nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. And the 11 people that voted against him will never identify themselves, because the kickback they're getting tonight is what you would expect it to be. I mean, it is loud. It is boisterous. People are ticked that Belichick isn't in. Love him or hate him, Bill Belichick has earned the right to be a first ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer. And the fact that 11 people in that voting committee chose not to put him on the first ballot, nonsense. And they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. So more on that as well, as that's certainly a big story this evening. Little college football talk as well tonight. 12 teams. College football going back to a 12-team playoff. There was some talk about 24. There was some talk about 16. but they landed on 12 yet again for next season with a few caveats. We'll go over that. Also, the Florida State football schedule released last night. If you did not hear our thoughts on that last night, we will go back over that as well. But a tough putt for Mike Norvell, who's entering the year on the hot seat to begin with. It is not going to be an easy schedule for Florida State to manage. So we're absolutely loaded. Guest lineup tonight looks like this. In about 15 minutes, my buddy Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 will stop by as we will talk about the return of both Campanile and Udinski to Jacksonville. Also towards the top of the 9 o'clock hour, my buddy Zig Fracassi, Sirius XM, NFL Radio. We will talk Jags, we will talk coaching carousel, and we will take an ever so brief look ahead at Super Bowl 60. 12 days away from the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us on a Tuesday here on Hacker After Dark. Every night on HAD, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Aaron Williams. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So it hasn't been a lifetime. It hasn't even been a long time. It's been 16 days. It has felt like a long 16 days, right? When you say it like that, less than 2.5 weeks since the Jaguars season ended. Doesn't it feel like it's been a month or two at this point? No. 16 days. And there was a haze in this city. There was a fog in this city. A cloudiness, right? 13-4, just ending so abruptly. When Trevor Lawrence was picked off by Cole Bishop to end that game 16 days ago and have the Jaguars Cinderella run of 13-4 and AFC South champions come to a bitter, bitter end. But perhaps the news today that offensive coordinator Grant Udinski, despite interviews with Cleveland and Buffalo, along with defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile, despite interviews with Miami, Baltimore, and Arizona. Maybe the news today that both of those guys are coming back for 2026. Maybe now you, the fans, we, the media, the collective we here that have some sort of thought on the Jacksonville Jaguars on a daily basis. Maybe we can all turn the page. 2025 was awesome. Ended how none of us wanted it to end 16 days ago. But wouldn't that have been a little salt in the wound to lose like you did in the playoffs and then to lose both of your coordinators? Maybe more than salt in the wound. It would have downright sucked, right? But now you get Udinski back to work with Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence for a second year. Now you get Campanile back to build on what he had this past year with that Jaguar defense. For the first time in 16 days, you, the Jaguar fans, get some really good news involving your Jacksonville Jaguars. So maybe now we can all put the playoff loss to Buffalo to bed. We can end the talk about a squandered opportunity, a missed opportunity. And with the news today that the OC and the DC are coming back alongside Liam Cohen, maybe we all now can begin to turn that page to trying to get back there in 2026. I got to be honest with you, though. It's going to be a one-year rental, I think. I'll take it. Don't get me wrong. It beats the alternative. But if the Jaguars on both offense and defense are anything in 2026 like they were in 2025, both Campanile and Udinski are going to get jobs next year. I'm actually surprised at least one of them didn't get a job this year. Clearly, Udinski was a finalist in Cleveland. Clearly, Campanile was a finalist in Arizona. And one could argue, as I did last night, that Udinski was also very much in play in the Buffalo situation. But things have a way of working themselves out. And the Jaguars get both of their coordinators back. So that's the first piece of good news. And by the way, it'll probably be the biggest piece of good news this offseason. Now, we're going to do more of this as free agency approaches, certainly as the draft approaches. But Jaguar fans, you need to prepare yourselves for something. This more than likely is not going to be an active free agency period for the Jaguars. That's what you had last year. Remember last year, it was every hour they were signing a Robert Hainsey or a Patrick Macari. They were going to get De'Ami Brown. They were getting Jordan Lewis, Eric Murray. That first day or two was signing after signing after signing. Likely not to be the case this year. What's more likely is that your guys are going to be signing elsewhere, i.e. Devin Lloyd, Travis Etienne, Greg Newsome, potentially Monteric Brown among them. The Jaguars don't exactly have a ton of cap room. They do have 11 draft picks, right? Not a first rounder, but they have 4 in the top 100. I believe as it stands, they have pick 56, pick 81, pick 88, and pick 100. I believe those are the 4. And I think their 5th pick is around like 120. So you can say they have 5 picks in the top 120, which is pretty good, right? Let me do my Wolfson math on this. There are 32 teams. 32 times 5, where you're talking well over 160, and the Jaguars have 5 picks in the top 120. So that's pretty decent. But this today, on January the 27th, barring something unforeseen, like you figuring out a way to trade for a Pro Bowl caliber player, with the knowledge you're going to lose some of your free agents, you'll sign some guys, but they'll be, second, third tier. With the knowledge that you don't have a first-round pick, not saying your second-rounder and your 3 third-rounders can't contribute, but the reality is you don't have a first-round pick. Today is probably going to be the best day of the Jaguar offseason. And I'm totally fine with that. Because you get 2 guys back in your building that were a whisker away from becoming NFL head coaches in their own right. Campanile in Arizona, Udinski in Cleveland, and potentially Buffalo. So terrific work by the Jaguars, and good fortune that they were able to bring both guys back here in 2026. And the question is, what can Trevor Lawrence do now with another year with both Liam Cohen and Grant Udinski? And Campanile, can he do to the defense what he did last year, the takeaways, the opportunistic takeaways, that sort of thing? Here's the thing, too. The expectation on Jacksonville is going to be ratcheted up huge this year. When you go from 4 wins to 13 wins and a division championship, expectations grow enormously. And Liam Cohen's going to have a lot of expectations on himself. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Liam to live up to what he did in year number 1. And it's good that now he doesn't have to worry about going out and finding coordinators to replace Camp and Udinski. That is a giant weight off Liam Cohen's shoulders. So I like it. I like it a lot. It's a good day all the way around as both Camp and Udinski back in the fold here in Jacksonville in 2026. Let's talk more about it. Let's talk about how it came about and what it means for the direction of this offseason here in Jacksonville. My buddy Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 joined me a lot during the NFL season, and we certainly appreciate his time. He'll stop by next to give his thoughts on the return of Udinski and Campanile and what it means for the Jaguars moving forward. On a Tuesday night here in Northeast Florida, we're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, just getting started. With you till 10 o'clock. It's 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
He's the toughest guy on our team.
thinks he's Rambo.
Tom McManus.
Rambo is a...
Fridays on Jaguars Today, 10 to noon on the flagship station of the Jaguars, 1010XL.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Here you can see.
Valentine's Day is coming soon, so go ahead and pre-order your floral arrangements now from Kuhn Flowers. High-flying Jacko here, and for over 75 years, Kuhn Flowers has made Valentine's Day for that special person in your life. KuhnFlowers.com.
Don't miss the Bari Breakdown with Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays around 1:35 for the latest in sports injuries from all the big names in the game. Who's MIA, who's coming back? Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays at 1:35 on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Low mortgage rates are back. Listen, Loan Pronto has fixed rate mortgages with APRs as low as 4.89%. It's the lowest in years. Hey, gang, Prosser here. Smart homeowners are taking advantage of this while they can. If you got stuck in a 6% loan, you can lower your payment big time, or you can keep your primary mortgage intact, get cash out. Equity with Loan Pronto's rapid equity loans. One homeowner just got $250,000 out of their home. They paid off all their credit cards, some car loans, and cut their monthly expense by $2,000. Call now. See what option works best for you, but don't miss this big rate drop of 2026. Ask about new home loans, VA loans, full cash out refis, or their famous rapid equity loan. You can close in less than 2 weeks. You may be able to skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call 904-999-1508 or visit loanpronto.com. No hard credit pull. 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. APR for well-qualified buyers.
Visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Jacksonville, you voted, and Baker Glass came out on top. The Bold City Best Awards are all about locals choosing their favorites, and you picked them for Best Auto Glass and Best Glass and Mirror Service.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. When you need a trailer hitch, gooseneck, or RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We've been doing it for 55 years, and customer service is our #1 priority. Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
Game days aren't the only win happening in the 904. Best of Bold City named 904 Gutters with a Z, the #1 seamless gutter company in Duval. Like the team's O-line protects their QB. Call the winning team at 904 Gutters with a Z to protect your home from the rain.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, big news for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Both Grant Udinski and Anthony Campanile will return to Jacksonville in 2026. Of course, Campanile interviewed in Miami, Baltimore, and Arizona. Udinski interviewed in Cleveland and Buffalo. But at the end of the day, as the dust has settled, both the offensive and defensive coordinators will be back in Duval next season. Let's talk about it with Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4, always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Jamal, how we doing, man?
Pretty good. How you doing, Hacker? Busy day, right?
Oh my gosh, a very, very busy day. If only people knew, Jamal, how busy a day was today. Look, big news, certainly for the Jaguars. Let's just start from the mile-high view. The fact that both coordinators are coming back in 2026, certainly a great day for Jacksonville.
Continuity is huge, Hacker. Continuity is absolutely huge. Getting Grant Udinski and Coach Campanile back, I mean, that's a huge win for the Jaguars. Absolutely. I mean, to be able to say you're going to go into next season with the same guys kind of leading the charge, that same core, you can't replace it. I mean, look at the Lions. I mean, 2 years ago when they were able to bring back Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, they go on, have a great season, and then both of those guys get a head coaching job. They miss the playoffs the next year. Look, Coach Camp and Coach Grant are going to both be head coaches at some point in the near future. If the Jaguars win 13 games again next season, I have a sneaky suspicion both of those guys will probably be gone for head coaching jobs elsewhere, which, you'll wish them well on the way out, but you got to maximize them while you're there. And it's good that they're going to be staying in Jacksonville for at least one more year.
It's a great point, and one that I've been talking about this evening. This almost feels like a one-year rental. But, Jamal, if we would have gotten news that Udinski was going to Buffalo and Camp was going to Arizona, that would have added salt to the wound of that loss to Buffalo 2.5 weeks ago. Even though both guys are likely going to be head coaches in 2027, assuming Jacksonville has another good year in 2026, this feels like the first really good piece of news since the Jaguar season came to an abrupt end 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge news for the team. I mean, to be able to keep that core together, you can't oversell what continuity means. But yeah, I agree with you. If Grant Udinski had taken that job up in Buffalo, that would have been like just an extra kick while you're down, right? Oh, they came into Jacksonville, beat the team, fire their coach after losing it the week later, and then they come back and take your offensive coordinator. Yeah, that'd have been rubbing salt in the wound for sure. So, I mean, this might be the high for the offseason. I mean, you're talking about an offseason where they don't have a ton of free agent money to throw around. You don't have a first-round draft pick. Keeping your coordinators might be your high point.
Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. Let's go one by one. Let's start with Udinski. Now, we all know Liam Cohen is the play caller, right? And obviously that was a big deal in a lot of the markets, Cleveland and Buffalo, that Udinski was talking to. But there's something about Grant Udinski, man. Look, I was talking to you earlier. I talked to people in Cleveland and Buffalo that quite frankly did not know a lot about Grant Udinski prior to the last couple of weeks, but they were overly intrigued by him. And there's some people in the Browns and Bills fan bases that are not happy that ultimately Grant Udinski did not land with their given teams. So the fact that he's back to have another year with Liam Cohen, another year with Trevor Lawrence and his development, I don't think you can understate that.
No, you definitely can't. You definitely can't understate that at all. I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic in the short tenure. He has a short resume. I mean, he's only 30 years old, literally just turned 30. But we'll see. I think he's going to be a head coach at some point. Is the not calling plays thing going to be a hang up in some folks' minds? Sure. But it's not a surprise to me that people in some of these other markets weren't as familiar with Grant Udinski. I mean, he hasn't been in the NFL for very long. This was his first time as an offensive coordinator, and he's not the play caller. So it's understandable that people don't necessarily know his name now, but I think he's the name that's going to get hotter and hotter on this coaching market, especially going into next year if the Jaguars keep rolling, because Grant is going to be a head coach. I mean, he's just 30 years old. He's flown up the coaching staff ranks. I mean, he's an offensive coordinator. Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence have both been real complimentary of what Grant brings to those meeting rooms and the details that he brings to the offense. So I think people around the NFL will get a lot more familiar with the last name Udinski over the next year or so.
Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. As big as it was for Udinski to come back, Campanile might be the bigger one because, look, that's his defense. And one thing that we really haven't talked much about, who knows if these guys would have both gotten jobs, how many other Jaguar coaches they would have taken with them, particularly Campanile on the defensive side of the football. So not only do you get both coordinators back, but you're going to be able to retain most of your position coaches, one would think. But clearly Campanile, look, I'm not downplaying Udinski coming back. That's enormous. But I thought that if you could have lost one, you didn't want to lose either of them, but if you could have lost one, you could have stomached Udinski because it was Cohen's play calling. Losing Camp would have been brutal, and the fact that you get him back as well, again, is absolutely sensational.
I'm right there with you, Hacker. I'm right there with you. At the end of the day, it is Liam's offense, but it's Coach Camp's defense. So you don't want to lose that defensive guy where you have to go find a new coordinator and you can't keep that continuity with those guys on that side of the football. And you know what? Those guys, I mean, the players absolutely loved him. One of the things that sticks out to me still that last day as they were cleaning out lockers, Jordan Lewis is sitting there holding court and talks about how, the thing that hurts the most is that they couldn't win it all for Coach Camp. And how much they thought as a first-year defensive coordinator, how much energy and everything he's poured into them as the defense, that was what stung the most, was that they couldn't bring it home for him. And he's not the type that's just saying things to say things. Like, that's not lip service. That's actually what he believes. And he's not the only one in that locker room that thinks like that about what Coach Camp means to them, as a team, as a player, as a man. So keeping him is huge for that locker room, and definitely would have been a blow if he'd have left and gone somewhere else.
We've seen very little attrition, Jamal. I guess you saw Ron Miles not retained in the secondary. They brought in a coach from Miami who worked with Camp down there, so there's certainly some familiarity. They lose their assistant O-line coach to be the O-line coach at Stanford. They also have brought in a run game coordinator who worked with Liam Cohen, both at the University of Kentucky and with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But with the news today that both Campanile and Udinski are returning, you think most of the hay is in the barn for this Jaguar coaching staff come 2026?
Yeah, I think for the most part, this is going to be it, unless, maybe there's a coach or two out there that, Liam has his eye on and can, create a position for to add to the staff. It wouldn't surprise me if they got a little creative with some of that titling for some guys they like. I know there was a report that they had interviewed the Buffalo run game coordinator for that open run game coordinator position before they decided to go with Percucci, who actually coached Liam Cohen back when he was at UMass. But for the most part, I think this is probably the staff, but it wouldn't surprise me if there were one or two additions with some fancy titles, you know what I mean?
Jamal, as we begin to wrap up, man, Udinski back, Campanile back. What does that do for Liam Cohen? Liam Cohen coming off a 13-4 campaign, all the acclaim that came with that. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of heightened expectations on this team moving forward. And if he would have had to replace both coordinators, that would have only added to his duties of trying to live up to last year and having to hire both coordinators as a job in and of itself. But you get both Udinski and Campanile back. That's got to be a huge weight off the shoulders for Liam Cohen.
Oh, that's huge. That's your right and left-hand man, right? So you have these guys that you can trust at this point. You've been in the trenches with them. You're not getting to know somebody new in this position or somebody that's now in this position for the first time. And we've seen it in the AFC South, derail coaches having to replace coordinators time after time. Think about Mike Vrabel in Tennessee. Look at what he's doing in New England. Well, he was successful at times with the Titans when he had an offensive coordinator that was good. Problem was his offensive coordinators were good, so they were getting jobs. LaFleur got a job. Arthur Smith got a job. And eventually he just ran out of names to pull out of the hat. And that's what hamstrung him in Tennessee. And now he lands in New England with Josh McDaniel at his side, who he's not necessarily worried about getting a job as a head coach again. So, you got to think that New England's set up pretty good. Look, that's part of it. At some point, a head coach can't do everything. Liam will do a lot, but he needs an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator that he can trust to help lead the rest of the way. And he gets to keep those guys in Jacksonville for a little while longer. We'll see. We'll see what happens on the other side of it, but it's tough to keep replacing those guys. That's why those coaches that have those long coaching trees, that's why it gets so much, acclaim and acumen, because the McVay tree. You can go to a lot of these other coaches and look at the Andy Reid tree, because it's tough to constantly find and not just develop players, but develop a coaching staff that's well ready to lead and step into those positions time after time after time.
Jamal, as we begin to wrap up, look, 16 days ago sucked for this Jaguar fan base. I remember doing the fifth quarter. It was only 2.5 weeks ago. It's not like it was a lifetime ago, but I remember the fifth quarter, people were in like a fog, a haze. It was just the abruptness that the season ended, how abruptly it did end. It was just brutal. and it's only been 2.5 weeks, but I still think people have not gotten over it entirely. Is today a turning of the page? Campanile back, Yadinsky back, first good news that the Jaguar fan base has had since the loss 2.5 weeks ago. Are people now, do you think, going to take a deep breath and now full steam ahead to 2026?
I think it can take people off the edge of their seats a little bit and start moving forward. Yeah, I think it definitely does help because those questions, it gives people some unease, right? You finally see the thing, you finally look at it, you say, oh, they got it on the right track, and then these other teams are trying to take your coaches. So I can definitely understand the angst, but you know what? That's the name of the game. And that's something that hasn't happened here in Jacksonville in a while, where the team was successful and other teams took notice and wanted to interview and possibly hire your coordinators to be their head coach. But if the Jaguars keep winning, that's what's going to happen. It happens around the league nonstop. It's the same way the Jags, looked for Liam Cohen. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had success offensively. Oh, okay, who's the guy behind that? Bring him in. That's what happens. So if the Jaguars keep winning, more than likely next offseason won't be as smooth because at least one of those guys will get a head coaching job. I can almost book that right now. But look, that's just the name of the game, and folks are going to have to get used to it. But right now, yeah, you can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief of knowing that there's going to be some continuity going into next season and the ability for that team to kind of build off of what they did last year instead of having to start from scratch somewhere.
We'll have you on pre-free agency. Free agency, by the way, less than 6 weeks away, which is pretty wild to think about. But I remember the last time you and I talked, you were pretty certain that Devin Lloyd and Travis Etienne had played their final games in Jaguar uniforms. Do you still feel that way?
Lock it in. I just don't see it changing. Look, James Gladstone's got 6 weeks, and he's got a lot of work to do to try and free up some salary cap space for this team to work with. And I think Devin Lloyd's going to take a major payday, and I think Travis Etienne's going to get himself a decent payday that likely carries them both somewhere else. It's going to be some tough decisions for the team, obviously, to replace what both of those guys brought to the field. But when you want to be a draft and develop team, that's kind of part of it. You got to draft and then develop. You can't keep everybody.
Are the replacements here, Bashal Tootin, Ventrell Miller, or do they have to go outside to get replacements?
Tootin will be part of the answer for sure. It wouldn't surprise me if they went and found a veteran running back that's on the market. There's a handful of them this year that they could get for a little bit lesser of a price, maybe Rashad White, who has some history with Liam from Tampa. Or it wouldn't surprise me if they tried to go to the draft well again and say, okay, hey, you know what? We got a 3rd-round pick that we'll spend on a running back, and the combination of LeQuint, Tootin, and whoever said rookie would be or veteran player, I think that will be your backfield. As far as linebacker, yeah, Ventrell's your leader in the doghouse, but it wouldn't shock me if they tried to draft a guy there to go in there and compete with Jack Kaiser and Ventrell for that spot. So I think there'll be players. I think this is going to be a really defense-heavy draft for this team. So it would not shock me if they're you sprinkle in a bunch of defensive picks and then say, hey, Liam, we'll get you a Nutoya running back too, somewhere along the line.
Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. Jamal, a busy day for everybody. Thank you for taking time out. We'll talk again soon, pal.
For sure. Anytime, Hacker.
Brunell.
Hi, I'm Mark Brunell.
On the fade. Touchdown to Jimmy Smith.
You have found the best Jaguars coverage in Jacksonville on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care. Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergency.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Checkmate.
I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, the adorable chess man on the trucks.
There are two things you should ask yourself about your garage floor. How clean is it now, and how clean would you like it to be? A typical bare concrete floor doesn't just collect dirt, it makes dirt.
It is literally made of dirt.
As much as you sweep and mop, the dust and grit just never ends.
And drips from your car seep into the pores, staining the concrete forever.
A Checkmate multi-layer floor resists drips and stains. It comes in your choice of dozens of colors and sweeps up sparkling clean in just seconds.
No need to wear shoes in the garage and track dirt back in the house.
Gorgeous?
Check. Durable?
Check. Tidy enough to walk on wearing clean white socks? Checkmate.
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit CheckmateCoatings.com. That's CheckmateCoatings.com.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured. If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
In the game of vehicle performance and reliability, Atlantic Infinity is always the top pick. This is Hayes Carlion. Did you know that every certified pre-owned Infinity is inspected, factory-backed, with a limited warranty, and gets the same championship-level service as a brand-new Infinity? Every mile will feel like first class. Check out their full certified inventory now at AtlanticInfinity.com or visit Atlantic Infinity off Atlantic near St. John's Bluff.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at over $4,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar or trade it in for a new piece and get even more at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focus, fueled, fearless, Farah. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
You know, with all the news about the Jaguar coordinators coming back this week, or I guess today, as a matter of fact, Grant Udinski, Anthony Campanile, there's been a ton of other stuff that's gone on around the National Football League. We are in the busy season. By the way, you see the reports coming out of Mobile, Alabama, Senior Bowl going on. In fact, I think the East-West Shrine game, or whatever they're calling that thing now, that's tonight, I want to say. Senior Bowl is Saturday in Mobile. As they always say, the draft starts in Mobile. And yeah, Senior Bowl practice going on. That'll morph into the Combine, which is, believe it or not, less than a month away up in Indianapolis. But as far as the coaching carousel today, well, where do you begin? Well, obviously, locally, we're pumped about getting Udinski and Campanile back. I'll tell you where they're pumped, too. They're pumped in Nashville. See what they did today? We already know Robert Saleh, the brand new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. I'll give the Titans credit. They got significant name value. Robert Saleh, the head coach. Brian Daboll, their new offensive coordinator. That's right. The former head coach of the New York Giants, former coordinator for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, is now the brand new offensive coordinator for Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. Word has come out this evening. I think I heard this last year, but it's being resurfaced now. The Giants basically offered an arm and a leg last year to Tennessee to try to get up to number one because Daboll loved Cam Ward. They couldn't get it done, so Daboll gets fired in New York, and now he takes the job with Cam Ward as his offensive coordinator. Look, I have no idea if that's going to work out or not. But I will tip my cap to the Tennessee Titans. On paper, you could do a lot worse than Robert Saleh and Brian Daboll. as a head coach and an offensive coordinator. We shall see. But as we often find out this time of year, and I'll repeat this a lot, basically the entirety of the offseason, for the 30 teams that are not playing in the Super Bowl, right, hope springs eternal. Every coach that is hired is going to be the missing piece. Every coordinator that is hired is going to get them over the top. Everything's positive. Everything's great right now. And everything will remain great until September. In 8 months, when the season starts, or I guess in 7 months, when the season starts, early September, and then reality will set in. And we'll see what reality holds for Tennessee with Robert Saleh and with Brian Daboll. Boy, tough crowd in Denver. Offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi fired after a 14-3 AFC Championship game appearance in which he had to use a backup quarterback in a blizzard. They didn't get it done. I guess Denver had to look for a fall guy. It sure wasn't going to be Sean Payton. So Joe Lombardi, the offensive coordinator in Denver, out of a job. Mike McCarthy introduced today in Pittsburgh. Boy, that's an interesting one, too. We didn't spend a lot of time on that last night. Steeler fans are pissed. Have you seen their reaction on social media and message boards, and you listen to podcasts? And I was dabbling in a little Pittsburgh sports talk radio, listening to some of the callers yesterday and today. They are not happy about Mike McCarthy. I don't know why. Dude obviously did a terrific job in Green Bay. He's got a Super Bowl ring. Not many people walking around with Super Bowl rings on their finger at the head coach position. He's got one. Did it work out in Dallas? No, but didn't he go like 3 straight years of 12 or more wins? Now, they had massive failures in the playoffs, granted. But I don't know why there's so much vitriol, venom from Steeler fans about Mike McCarthy. I don't get that. The 3 jobs that are still open, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Cleveland Browns, and the Arizona Cardinals. That's because Buffalo announced Joe Brady as their head coach, the offensive coordinator, who had been there for the last 4 years, I believe, now takes over replacing Sean McDermott. This is pretty simple. Do I agree with it? I see why they did it. I'll say that. It's familiarity with the system. The Buffalo offense was pretty good. Amidst bad circumstances at wide receiver, Buffalo scored points. Obviously, Josh Allen had to sign off on this. You know he did. A lot of talk that Buffalo is going to potentially bring in Jim Leonard as their defensive coordinator. He is a highly thought of and respected defensive coach. Joe Brady's interviewed for a lot of jobs in the last couple of years, kept hanging around Buffalo, and now he gets his chance with the Bills, replacing Sean McDermott. As far as the other jobs, Cleveland, are they really going to hire Jim Schwartz or promote him to head coach? It's the way it's looking right now. We'll see if Shieldhouse from the Rams gets back involved there. But the more people you listen to in Cleveland, the more you think Jim Schwartz is the guy. Arizona, probably only a matter of time before they announce Mike LaFleur as the head coach out there. I'm surprised they didn't do it today, as a matter of fact. And with the Raiders, who really knows? Brian Daboll interviewed with them twice and just took the job with Tennessee. So maybe they told him, hey, we're not going to hire you. That's kind of weird. It appears it's Clint Kubiak for the Raiders, but they're going to have to wait till after the Super Bowl, right? Kubiak's the coordinator for Seattle. Raiders are going to have to show some patience on there and wait 12 more days until Kubiak officially becomes available. And quickly, the big news in the NFL tonight, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the National Football League. It's embarrassing for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The fact that Bill Belichick, it was reported tonight, is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Did not get into the Hall of Fame his first time on the ballot. Reportedly, 11 Hall of Fame voters did not vote for Bill Belichick. They should all be ashamed of themselves. Ludicrous. I think there's been issues with Hall of Fame voting for a while. This brings it to light, and maybe now something will change. The 11 people that did not vote for Bill Belichick should have to identify themselves and should have to go public with the reasoning why. It is an embarrassment for a head coach with 6 Super Bowl rings and the most playoff wins in the history of football to not be a first ballot Hall of Fame. And if it was truly because of Spygate and Deflategate, if that's the reason those 11 folks did not vote for Belichick for punishing him for a year because of Spygate and Deflategate, as some people are referencing, well, okay, you're going to do that? Does that mean you're going to do that to Tom Brady in a couple of years? Is Brady going to be punished for a year for Deflategate and Spygate like apparently you decided to punish Belichick tonight? Bad look. Shameful look on those 11 voters that did not vote for Bill Belichick for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock. We're glad you're with us. More on the Jaguars, more on the National Football League next. 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Duval all day. Search 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube.
Not everyone is built for a cubicle. At Local 234, apprentices get paid to learn hands-on skills like plumbing, pipe fitting, HVAC, the stuff Jacksonville runs on. No endless lectures, no massive student debt, just hands-on training, real jobs, and real pay. This is how you level up, by doing work that actually matters. Check them out at UA234.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Local 234. Make the right connection.
For your chance to win tickets to Chris Stapleton and special guest Alan Stone, June 11th at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena, text Chris to the text line built by Lifetime Enclosures at 641-1010.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Get your tickets for the Tom Coughlin J-Fund Wine Tasting Gala. Join Super Bowl winning coach Tom Coughlin at VyStar Ballpark Thursday, March 5th and raise a glass to help local families tackling childhood cancer. Enjoy hundreds of wines from around the world and food from top local restaurants. Buy tickets and learn more at tcjfund.org/wine. tcjfund.org/wine.
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Since 1927, Jacksonville has trusted Coil Fencing to protect what matters. And I trust them too. From tough chain link to your commercial project to sleek aluminum fencing your HOA will love, Coil does it all. Did you know that Coil can also install, service, and maintain those automatic gates that help protect your neighborhood or business? To schedule a complimentary consultation, visit CoilJacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com. Coil Fencing, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It may be winter in Northeast Florida, but it's one of the most important times to protect your lawn. Prosser here for Julington Creek Pest Control. Their winterizer strengthens roots and improves cold tolerance. Pre-emergent treatments stop spring weeds before they ever start. What that means is you set the stage for a thicker, greener lawn when spring arrives. Call today to schedule your winter lawn treatment with Julington Creek Pest Control. Our family serving yours since 1984.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Hey folks, it's Frank Frangie for Lee and Kate's Glass. They say you're going to see a big difference, but what does that really mean? It means a live local person on the phone, a smooth, easy process, skilled craftsmen, and excellent customer service all around, with your satisfaction absolutely guaranteed. Visit LeeandKatesGlass.com.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
What
This Major League Baseball pitcher won over 500 games and pitched 749 complete games.
When your homeowner's insurance policy is up for renewal, it's a good idea to shop around to find a better plan. Southern Oak Insurance for over 20 years provides Floridians a clear option. SouthernOak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
With 511 wins and 749 complete games, Cy Young's record won't be matched.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours.
New year, new lifetime dreams. Let's build them together. Jeff Breyer here with the Lifetime family of companies, your local backyard
and indoor
home improvement specialists.
That's right, Dad. Lifetime enclosures, lifetime flooring, and lifetime windows.
Glass and screen enclosures, outdoor kitchens, pergolas, replacement windows, all to enhance your home's livability and value. And a huge flooring showroom with thousands of the latest tile, LVP, hardwood, and carpet selections to help you fall in love with your home again.
Come experience the lifetime difference. Call or visit one of our showrooms today for our limited lifetime offers.
Lifetime enclosures.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you're with us. Zig Fracassi, Sirius XM NFL Radio, about 15 minutes away. Also, my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. He comes up towards the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. Certainly the big news locally, Grant Yudinsky, Anthony Campanile back in the fold for the Jacksonville Jaguars, the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator return. We'll get more into this tonight in the 9 o'clock hour and then tomorrow as well. But I do think it's a really important game tomorrow night, and particularly a very important game Sunday for the Florida Gator basketball team. About 24 hours from now, the Gators will take on South Carolina. Weird game, right? East Coast game in Columbia. I believe it's on the road. A 9 o'clock start for Florida and South Carolina. It'll be a late night for you Gator fans. But I'm very curious to see how the national champions respond. And basically every loss this year, Duke, Arizona, UConn, TCU, Missouri, all the games they lost in the non-conference, literally every one of them, they had a chance to win with 30 seconds to go. They were right there with 30 seconds to go. And it didn't go their way. Lost a lot of close games, but they were in those games. Saturday at home in the O'Connell Center, which was equally as surprising, they just got punched in the mouth. And I think Todd Golden basically said as much after the game. They got their nose bloodied a little bit. I mean, it was brutal. Auburn went in there, and it was a huge game for Auburn. They're probably still a little upset about that whole Final Four thing last year. But they went into Florida, and they went into Gainesville, and they absolutely took it to what I think is the best front court in America. And I'm curious, after you get challenged like that, if you're the Gators, and like I said, you get your nose bloodied, you get punched in the mouth, how you're going to respond. One would think you would come out spitting fire and foaming at the mouth and ready to go. And that's how I hope Florida comes out tomorrow. But it's a weird setup, right? It's on the road, 9 o'clock, Columbia, South Carolina. Not exactly a basketball hotbed up there. I do wonder how Florida is going to respond to that. It'll be interesting to see. And then, of course, on Sunday in Gainesville, Alabama comes in, and that's going to be a nationally televised game on ABC Sunday at 1 o'clock. And the interesting thing about that, too, is that's going to be the situation with that Alabama player that signed and played in the G League of the NBA for 2 years and is now back in college because a judge in Tuscaloosa who donates hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Alabama athletic program put a temporary restraining order on the NCAA to allow this guy to go back to college to play basketball. That's basically what happened. And Todd Golden's been very vocal about his thoughts on that. And that should be quite the scene in Gainesville on Saturday between two ranked teams. It's an important game between Alabama and Florida, but there will be a lot of subplots to that game. So hopefully Florida can take care of business. They should tomorrow night against South Carolina, which would set up, again, a very, very interesting and what should be a very, very entertaining matchup with Alabama coming up on Sunday. Sunday, 1 o'clock. Kind of an odd time, but as the NFL goes away, you'll see more college games be put into those Sunday afternoon time slots, which I'm perfectly fine with. No doubt about that. Also spent a little bit of time on this last night, but in case you missed it, the Florida State football schedule was released one evening ago. We already know that Mike Norvell will be on the hot seat going into the year. Keep in mind, Florida State is 3-12 in their last 15 ACC games, and they have not won a true road game in 2 years, which is absolutely disgusting. And Florida State plays week 0 against New Mexico State. They'll win that game. But then their next 2 are home against SMU on Labor Day night, and then a bye week, and then they go to Tuscaloosa to play Alabama on September 19th. Seminole fans, if you are not in the camp of Mike Norvell going into the year already, that could get really out of whack really quick. Because if they lose to SMU and they lose to Alabama and they're 1-2 with games still against Virginia, Clemson, Florida, at Pitt, I mean, it is a bear of a schedule for the Florida State Seminoles. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but we're going to go to Tallahassee later in the week, and I'll tell you why. I want to talk about the Florida State offseason. With Florida, it's all been all about John Summerall, right? Retaining guys and bringing guys in through the portal, and they've been one of the most active portal teams. With Miami, well, they just played for a national championship 1 week ago, right? So they've been top of mind. Let me ask you something. Even if you're the most diehard, bleeding, garnet and gold Seminole fan there is, what has transpired this offseason in Tallahassee? Give me the 2 or 3 big stories for Florida State this offseason. What has transpired for the Noles? I have no idea. I want to go to Tallahassee and talk to some folks over there to see what it's been like. I know they've brought in a quarterback from Auburn that a lot of Seminole fans weren't very happy about. They've brought in over 20 transfers total. Have they brought in any difference makers, anybody that's going to make an impact? Or is this Florida State team in late January, early February, you as Florida State fans, are you already mentally preparing yourself for maybe a coach being dismissed midway through the 2026 season? Because I will tell you, if Florida State goes to 1-4, 2-5 next year, at some point, enough's enough. At some point, there will be no more leeway for Mike Norvell. So we'll go to Tallahassee later on this week and just kind of get an update on the Seminole offseason, because of the big 3 in the state, Miami played for a title. Florida's made a lot of news in the portal. I haven't heard very much from Florida State. So we'll talk about it later on when we go to Tallahassee here on Hacker After Dark. Coming up next, back into the National Football League, my buddy Zig Fracassi. He is a host of SiriusXM NFL Radio. We'll get his final thoughts on the Jags season. We'll talk Udinski, Campanile returning. We will also look at the coaching carousel and maybe a little bit, ever so brief, look ahead to Seahawks, Patriots in Super Bowl 60. Halftime, Hacker After Dark. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Jacksonville will take you till 10 o'clock, as we do every night. Zig Fracassi, SiriusXM NFL Radio, joins us next.
1010XL.
The quality and standard of your life will not be determined by how well you play football, but by how well you confront adversity. Attitude.
Where attitude is altitude.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than with Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. All you do is pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. It's just that simple. Now Prize Picks has early payouts. If your lineup is off to a hot start, you have the option to cash out before the game even finishes. At PrizePicks, how you play, it's up to you. Download the PrizePicks app today, use promo code 1010XL, and get $50 in lineups instantly when you play $5 in lineups. PrizePicks, good to be right.
San Jose Collision in Mandarin is proud to be an iCar Gold Class collision repair facility. That means they meet the industry's highest training standards. Experience the difference at San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On January 27, 1973, UCLA, led by Bill Walton, sets an NCAA record for consecutive victories with their 61st win after defeating Notre Dame.
Are you ready for another historic season at the bank? It's time to lock in your seats for 2026 by placing your deposit now. Next season will be played at Everbank Stadium, but seating capacity is limited due to in-bowl renovations, and spots are going fast. Don't miss out on your chance to see the season's biggest matchups and highlight real moments by placing your deposit at Jaguars.com/tickets or by calling 904-633-2000. Go Jags!
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron. Totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens, also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings, and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
Refresh your bathroom with big savings at Lowe's. Reimagine your bathroom with up to 40% off select faucets during our Bath Savings event. Need it today? Order by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Shop for your bathroom refresh at Lowe's. We help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Same-day delivery on eligible in-stock items, subject to availability. Fees vary. Visit Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for full terms.
The First Coast Games is an annual team-building challenge to introduce fun activities into the workplace and focus on your employees' health and wellness goals. These goals include some friendly competition, of course, including pickleball, cornhole, volleyball, flag football, and other team sports. The games will begin in March. Register your company and teams at fcymca.org.
Feel the power of Van Halen. Live. Jump. America's Van Halen experience. Iconic riffs. And David Lee Roth era energy. Sunday, February 1st at Thrasher Horn Center. Get tickets now at thcenter.org.
Mark Watson here to tell you a little bit about hardballcreative.com. It's your online promo haven with thousands of ideas on how to promote your company. We're open 24/7, 365.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's team time, Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. We have a Super Bowl matchup, the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. Boy, raise your hand if you had those two back on Labor Day. That's where we are, right? The last two teams standing, the Pats and the Seahawks. We have the coaching carousel continuing to spin, but starting to wind down a little bit. And with that, we also have the news we found out earlier on that it looks like Grant Udinski will be back in Jacksonville in 2026 because the Buffalo Bills have hired their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, to be their next head coach. Let's talk about all of it with Zig Fracassi of SiriusXM NFL Radio. Zig is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Zig, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
Heck, I'm doing great. And, of course, loved having you on during the season with Coach Haley and myself. I think you said it was your first time ever on NFL radio, and like you do at 10-10 wins, you ace that performance.
Well, Zig, I certainly appreciated the opportunity, and yeah, I was on with you guys during the good times during the Jaguar season. Zig, it did not end the way we wanted it to, certainly with the loss on Wild Card Weekend. But what did you make of year number 1 here in Jacksonville for Liam Cohen?
Oh, you had to be pleased. I mean, my gosh, for a team that was kind of middling, maybe still trying to get over the Doug Peterson era. Where was Trevor Lawrence in his development? The receivers and everything like that. And obviously having a first-time head coach come in, there's all sorts of questions. I think they overachieved. I think Liam is definitely a viable candidate for Coach of the Year, although this is one of those years, Hack, you could make a case for Vrabel for what he's done in New England. I could make a case for Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco with all the injuries that they had. But any one of those guys who gets that award, I think is going to be deserving. We always hear the overused term culture and building that winning atmosphere. I sense that, though. Obviously you watch the clips after the games, and it looks as though these guys have definitely bought into Liam Cohen. Looks like he's a player's coach. Lawrence looked more like the first overall pick that he was. I thought the addition of Jacoby Myers from the Raiders was an absolute masterstroke there. He gave them some stability, easy for me to say, some stability at the receiver spot. Defensively, they lived off the turnovers, and a lot of people said, well, you can't do that. Well, they did do a division title and a tough loss to the Bills in the opening round. When you add all of it up, Hack, I think it was overachieving first year, a great first year. But obviously now the expectations have once again been built up in Duval County.
Zig Fracassi of SiriusXM NFL Radio. And, it's interesting. We're in the midst of the coaching carousel this year. Last year, the Jaguars were the only team that interviewed Liam Cohen, which Zig seems crazy to think about now. I wonder what the Jaguars saw that nobody else did, because the only team that interviewed him, he came in and went 13-4 in year number 1. And what will it say for this staff? We find out earlier today that it appears Grant Udinski will now be back as his offensive coordinator. We're still waiting, I guess, to get some clarity on Arizona, but if Campanile does not get the Cardinal job, he'll be back as the defensive coordinator. I would think for stability purposes, that would be an outstanding start to the offseason.
Well, it is, and it also says enough about those two guys that you just mentioned, the jobs that they did, that they warrant head coaching consideration. Campanile, I thought, did a terrific job, and Udinski, I know, wanted the Bills job. That's according to several of the insiders and some of the things I heard as well. Apparently had a great reputation from his time in Minnesota. Maybe they lost a little bit there when he left. So it says a lot about those coordinators and the availability for them. And, that's a great question, Hack, about why the Jags were the only ones to interview him. I guess, maybe they saw Trevor Lawrence in some ways. And again, I'm not in the room. You're not in the room. None of us are. But what I can logically guess is maybe they saw what obviously Liam did with Baker with the Rams. And they think, maybe he could do kind of that same thing with Trevor Lawrence, but not just with him, but with the offense, defense, and special teams, have sort of that flavor, if you will, a personality. And, at least for this year, they look handsomely rewarded for it. But as you know now, the expectations are going to be higher, and can't get too complacent, because sooner or later, somebody's going to take you over. As you know, seems like every year there's like 4 or 5 teams that don't make the playoffs the year before, they make it the next year. So hopefully the Jags don't fall into that cycle.
There's no doubt the expectations have certainly been raised here in Northeast Florida. You're spot on with that. I want to end with the Super Bowl matchup, Zig, but while we're on coaches, let's talk about this year's coaching carousel. First and foremost, let's begin in the AFC South. Robert Saleh comes over from San Francisco to now be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. It's interesting that he and Liam Cohen are now in the same division and will play twice a year after their interaction earlier on in the season. There's all sorts of reports out that if Brian Daboll does not get the Raider job, that he would be the Titans offensive coordinator. On the surface, that looks like a pretty good 1-2 combo with Saleh and Daboll in Nashville. What would be your take on that?
You know, I'm a little stunned. Apparently, though, the Titans must have been impressed with, you know, obviously what Saleh did with that defense this year in San Francisco. I mean, you know, the tenure there with the Jets was unspectacular. But then again, the Jets have been unspectacular for 15 years now, their playoff droughts. So maybe it was part of the organization. Maybe now they think, you know, with a fresher coaching staff, now he's got a true quarterback to work with here with Cam Ward. I think there's pieces in place there, obviously, with Jeffrey Simmons and some of the other players that they have on that defense. So I guess I'm okay with it. I'm not a big Saleh fan, but we'll see what happens. But I'm with you. I think the combo with Saleh and then Brian Daboll running the offense, and he does have a reputation, obviously, working with Josh Allen, Tom Brady, and some of these other quarterbacks, that maybe he's got the secret sauce for Cam Ward to develop into year number 2.
Couple more for Zig Fracassi of SiriusXM NFL Radio. Boy, Zig, if I would have told you back on Labor Day that the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Buffalo Bills would all have brand new head coaches in 2026, I bet you would have been as stunned as I would have been. The fact that all three of those heritage franchises have gone in different directions is wild. As it's landed with Joe Brady now in Buffalo, Mike McCarthy there in Pittsburgh, and Jesse Minter in Baltimore, what's your take on those three?
Well, I guess, and again, Mike McCarthy is what he is, you know, and he did get the Cowboys back to some winning football, 12 wins in 3 straight seasons before bottoming out this past year. Hence, they made the change to Brian Schottenheimer. He is what he is. I guess he'll be a good regular season coach. I don't know if you're gonna, you know, change what they did in Pittsburgh with Tomlin and those 19 straight non-losing seasons, but that might be more of a continuum of you're good enough to get there, but then you get toasted in the first round like they did this year against Houston. I thought that hire hack was one of those where if the Steelers went with a younger candidate, like a Minter, or even the young man from the Rams who's gained a lot of steam lately, Shieldhouse, the former Illinois collegiate quarterback, that to me would signal more of a rebuild, tear this down. Where the Steelers, I think, have changed from their original roots here. They look more now like a veteran franchise. I dare use the word mercenaries, where they think they could win now. Hence, they think McCarthy could be that. So that's my view on that. With Baltimore, boy, Minter, they got this Harbaugh thing going with these organizations here because, you know, Jesse's worked for both John and Jim, very highly regarded defensive mind. I'm old enough to remember his dad, Rick Minter, when he was the Notre Dame defensive coordinator. So I think maybe a change of voice was needed in Baltimore. They got to get Lamar Jackson back on track. That's an organization there that I think could use a little bit of work, to be honest with you. And with Buffalo, knowing Bills Mafia, I think people are going to view this hack as why'd you get rid of McDermott if you're promoting Brady? I think from what we've been learning here in the last few days and week or whatever, is that maybe the QB head coach relationship wasn't all that great in Western New York. McDermott is one of those no-nonsense type of guys and, you know, maybe a little too rigid and strict, where now with Joe Brady, you've got that familiarity. I'm not sure they're quite buddy-buddy, if you want to call it like that. But, you know, again, Joe Brady's been a guy, even from his time at LSU, has been regarded as a future NFL head coach. It's going to be interesting, Hank, to see how this shakes out. So maybe from if you want to make your franchise quarterback happy and healthy department, that was the hire there for Joe Brady and the Bills.
Zig, one football game left. Of course, Super Bowl 60 out in Santa Clara. You guys will be all over it with SiriusXM NFL Radio. On one side, it's New England. And I'm still like a lot of people, Zig. I don't know how good they are, but I'm at the point now when you play 20 games that matter and you win 17 of them. I mean, you're good, right? I still question who they've beaten, but you're 17-3, and that speaks for itself. And on the other side, you want to talk about a comeback for the ages. I mean, Sam Darnold was let out to pasture in New York, and now he's one win away from being a world champion. Boy, a lot of storylines heading into this game a week from Sunday.
You know, and the thing is, Hack, I get tired of hearing about that who they played thing, not attacking you in any way, shape, or form, but that's the one thing that you heard throughout this year. Who did they play? Well, they don't make the schedule. They finished last the year before, so to more than triple your win total says something already. And oh, by the way, they did beat the Bills in Orchard Park. So they did do something. And then their 3 playoff wins, Hack, came against top 5 regular season defenses. So they beat people. The transformation was quick, obviously. Vrabel has a little bit of the Belichick in him. I thought that was a master hire by Robert Kraft and Elliott Wolf. They've got a very talented young quarterback in Drake May, who's made some progress. I thought the addition, taking a guy on like Diggs, who could be a little bit of a cancer depending on the mood you get him, but still, he behaved, he produced, loves playing for Vrabel. Spillane was a great ad. The kid from Philadelphia who won the Super Bowl, the defensive lineman Williams, that was a terrific ad. I thought the draft pick of Trevion Henderson was an absolute steal. So you have all these things coming into place. And to me, watching this team as the season went by, I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but boy, they're better. And the Patriots, and I'm sure a lot of people around the country hate this, Patriots might be back, Hack, with a new version, if you will, of the Patriot way with Vrabel and Drake May leading the way.
Yeah, Patriots look awful good. And then quickly, speak to Sam Darnold and the resurgence out there in Seattle.
Well, I think that, first of all, I thought he had basically a resurgence in, of all places, San Francisco. Now, he didn't play much there, but you play in a confident system under Kyle Shanahan. So I think he took some of those concepts and started to develop those. Then he obviously goes to Minnesota, won 14 games, but then we saw him struggle at the end of the regular season and in the wild card game. Oh, here we go with the bad Sam Darnold again. Then he goes to Seattle, and, you don't have to pay a quarterback $70 or $80 million a year, Hack. They got him, I think, on a 3 for 105, if I remember it right. So it's cost efficient. He's revived his career. Obviously, the addition of Shaheed with that midseason trade was brilliant. They had the great combination of Walker and Charbonnet in the backfield. Unfortunately, now Zach is out for the rest of the year, but they plowed through the NFC Championship game. Their defense plays aggressively. Darnold hasn't had to be the hero, so I'm glad for him. I get a chance to know him for a little bit, and the young man never did anything bad to anybody. Again, I think he was failed miserably by the New York Jets, and I believe what Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings head coach, says that organizations fail quarterbacks more than quarterbacks fail organizations. I think that's what happened with Sam Darnold with the Jets. I'm glad he's doing well. He's a good kid, and one game away, Hack, from his first ever Super Bowl championship.
Patriots Seahawks a week from Sunday in Super Bowl 60. Of course, we have the coaching carousel going nuts, and amazingly enough, it's Senior Bowl week in Mobile. We're a month away from the scouting combine, and we're 6 weeks away from NFL free agency. It never stops. Zig Fracassi of SiriusXM NFL Radio. Zig, I know you're busy, brother. Thank you for the time, and we'll do it again soon, pal.
Hack, always a treat. You can get me on X at Zig Sports Voice. And don't forget this weekend, outdoor hockey, Raymond James Stadium, Bruins and the Lightning. That should be pretty good.
You are a hockey guy. Quickly, Tampa Bay's had quite the year, have they not?
Yeah, they have. And the thing is, and they've had their share of injuries. Hedman's been out. I know Points missed some time, but yet they seem to be a well-oiled machine. that goes to the staff, their scouting staff, their coaching. John Cooper, I think, is the best coach in the NHL. And when you've got 88 between the pipes, anything's possible. I think the Lightning, quite frankly, have kind of overachieved, especially, like I said, with all the injuries they've had. And, of course, anytime you play Boston, the Bruins are in a mini rebuild, but they're currently in a playoff spot. Whenever the Bees and the Lightning play, this is going to be pretty interesting at Raymond James Stadium.
Zig Fracassi, Sirius XM NFL Radio. Zig's also all over the National Hockey League as well. Zig, thank you, my friend.
Heck, anytime, my brother.
Now, another classic moment in Jags history.
Big play, 35 from the 16. Mark at the line of scrimmage. Takes the snap, turns, looking for Jimmy in the end zone. Touchdown, Jaguars! Touchdown, Jaguars! Touchdown, Jaguars!
Home of the Jaguars, 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
This is Mark Nato. My sons and I have seen the doctors and PAs at Southeast Ortho for everything from lumbar spine stress to elbow tendonitis. Southeast has always been there, been truthful, and always been on point. Everything they say happens. We can't thank them enough for what they've done and the great care that they have taken of our sons.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Fish know where to hide. Captain Kevin knows how to find them.
That's a big one.
Listen for the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show, brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Royal Pest Services.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. Thank you for trusting us for 55 years of custom welding fabrication and vehicle towing accessories. When you need a trailer hitch for the family car, a gooseneck for the company truck, or even RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We can do a bumper hitch, fifth wheel hitch, anything for safe, reliable towing. Come to Cannons of Jacks, where service is our #1 priority and we treat our customers as we like to be treated. Check us out online, cannonsofjacks.com.
I'm with Greg from Cycles in Jacksonville. We always talk about Honda, Triumph, so many great bikes, but Aprilia from Italy is also a beautiful line.
It is absolutely gorgeous, and it is a fine sport bike. It's one that when you take your helmet off, you're never frowning. You're always smiling.
So if you want to treat yourself to something really special on the road, that's a line they should look into?
Absolutely, and we've got them in stock and ready to roll.
All right, make sure you check them out. They are on Atlantic near Regency. CyclesofJacksonville.com is a great place to go, or check out their Facebook page at Cycles of Jacksonville.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, is that a turtleneck? Can't you feel it, Jason? There's a chill in the air, a definite nip. I mean, it is January. In Jacksonville, Jason. I didn't come here for cold. Well, I wouldn't call this. Cold weather gives me the sniffles. Sniffles turns to pneumonia. Suddenly, I'm in a hospital bed with a tube down my throat because Florida didn't get the memo about ignoring winter. So, switch over to heat. What if my system can't remember how to heat? Dude, put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Bueller Air and Plumbing can make sure your system is ready to switch from cooling to heat. We'll clean your heating coil to get rid of that burning dust smell and make sure you have the coolant pressure to keep your heat pump pumping out the heat. I had no idea these sunglasses worked in the winter.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
If your home doesn't have a fireplace, CSS can install a beautiful electric or gas fireplace from Heat & Glow with no major remodel required. See their showroom or CSSOutdoor.com for a free estimate. CSS, you dream it, we build it.
Joe C. here. I tried playing handyman with my sprinklers and French drain. And royally failed. So I called Clearwater Irrigation and Drainage, and John Haney came out personally, just like he'll do for you.
You know it. And for a limited time, my good buddy Joe C's coming too.
Huh?
Ain't that right, Joe?
I gotta go to the game.
Joe? Go!
Clearwater Irrigation.
At least do this part.
and drainage too.
ClearwaterJacks.com.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
As always, thank you to my buddy Zig Fracassi, Sirius XM NFL Radio, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. We will shift gears in one moment, talk a little college athletics. Big game for Florida basketball tomorrow against South Carolina, coming off that loss to Auburn. Also on the gridiron, right, we just had a national champion crown. Do you realize that this upcoming season, right, we can officially say that now, this next college football season will start on August the 29th, week 0, right, as we refer to it. And the season will not end until January the 25th. Crazy to think about that, right? Another 5-month college football season, week 0, August the 29th. Interestingly enough, 4 ACC teams are going to play on August the 29th, including Florida State, as they start their season against New Mexico State. You got a game over in Dublin, Ireland as well. North Carolina, I believe, is involved in week 0. So August the 29th through January the 25th, and the college football playoff will once again have 12 teams. Not 16, not 24. They're going to keep it at 12 with 2 caveats. Number 1, if Notre Dame is ranked in the top 12 of the final standings, they get an automatic bid. Do with that what you will. But the more interesting one to me is conference championship games will once again matter. If you win your conference to qualify to be in the conference championship game, and you win the conference championship game in the Power 4, you're in the playoff. So the winner of the ACC, the SEC, the Big 10, and the Big 12 conference title games, those 4 teams get bids. Remember, Duke won the ACC last year. They won the ACC title game. They did not get a bid to the college football playoff. That will change in 2026. Let's talk about all of it with my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. As we roll on till 10 o'clock, glad you're with us on a Tuesday right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Be responsible for making people smile. This is 1010XL.
And is there anything that makes people smile more than football?
The home of Jacksonville sports fans. Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
Hey, Hickett here. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code 1010XL. $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code 1010XL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Frank Frangie for Lee and Kate's Glass, still family owned and in business for 100 years. When they say you're going to see a big difference, that's for everything. Custom showers and spas, tabletops, mirrors, even replacing foggy windows, all at a more affordable price. And with your satisfaction absolutely guaranteed, Lee and Kate's Glass is your best choice. Visit leeandkatesglass.com.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
This is Dave Barker with IHRS. Are you frustrated with those trendy pills and lotions that claim to make your hair thicker and fuller? Tired of your hair falling out? Our hair restoration solutions have helped over 10,000 men and women restore their hair in as little as 2 office visits.
Call 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or go to hairforme.com.
A new year is the perfect time to finally get organized. Hey, this is Lauren Brooks, and I love our closets from Closets by Design. They create custom storage systems designed around how you actually live. From closets and garages to home offices, entertainment centers, laundry rooms, and more. Beautiful, functional storage for any space, lifestyle, and budget. Start the new year strong with 40% off plus an extra 15% off, free installation, and 18-month special financing. Schedule your free in-home consultation. Call 904-878-9393 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
This is Jeff Middlecoff with Cogent Bank. My associate Ryan Salem and I joined Cogent Bank because we wanted to revolutionize the mortgage business, just like Cogent Bank has revolutionized the banking business. So Ryan Salem and I are able to leverage the power and stability of Cogent Bank to go out and find our clients the best investors, the best products, and the best rates in the entire country for your particular mortgage loan. Of course, you don't have to be a customer at Cogent Bank to take advantage of our mortgage services to buy or refinance your home. We offer jumbo loans, VA, FHA, conventional, and investment loans. At Cogent Bank, we offer mortgages nationwide, so we can help you with a second home or help a family member who lives or is moving to another state. Call Ryan Salem or myself, Jeff Middlecoff, at Cogent Bank today, 904-442-9191, to see how we can help you with any of your mortgage loan needs, whatever or wherever they may be.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, Cogent Bank, NMLS ID 402296, Ryan Salem, NMLS ID 1182429, Jeff Middlecoff, NMLS ID 249086.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by May 14th.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at over $4,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar or trade it in for a new piece and get even more at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Well, we know now there will once again be 12 teams in the college football playoff for next college football season. How did we land on 12 teams yet again? We'll talk about that. We have an ACC schedule out, which includes a pretty daunting schedule, quite frankly, for Florida State. And a lot of transfer portal news, including the courts getting involved, and that's never a good situation. With all that being said, what is a good situation is having my buddy Brent Beard on. You see him locally on First Coast News, and we're lucky enough to have him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, my friend?
Well, I'm doing okay, trying to stay warm as you are and everyone else is, but it will be much warmer soon enough. But what does make us warm is we've got things to talk about between the playoffs and the schedules coming out this week for the ACC, also the Big Ten doing the same thing. Frankly, for a near February schedule, it's kind of a newsy time right now.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And the last time you and I talked, there had not been a decision made about the playoff. And middle of last week, there was a decision made about the 2026-2027 college football playoff. And the decision was We're going to keep it as is. 12 teams. They're not going to 16, at least not yet. They're not going to 24, at least not yet. How did we land back on 12?
Well, we land back on 12 because enough of these conferences did not want to buck the Big Ten, wanting to go to 24. I think that was a lot of it. We would be, I think the sweet spot right now would be 16 because it would, and see, from last season, we'd had 16, we would have had, well, Notre Dame, for instance, would have been in. And I don't mean you need to kowtow to Notre Dame with everything, too, which kind of appears that's what's happening here. But at the same time, that's where we are at 12, and you would hope that these conferences, particularly the SEC and the Big Ten, would be able to come up with some kind of a sensible agreement with all of this. So that is where we remain. I don't think we'll be at 12 very long. There's just too much money involved in it, Hank. So, but for right now, that's where we are.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, I know there's been some pushback to automatic bids going to the Power Four champions, meaning the winner of the championship games. I actually like that. You know, I mean, Duke not getting in last year after winning the ACC title game, I thought was a terrible look for the ACC. Now, look, an 8-5 team, I get it. I get the problem that people would have. Me personally, if you win the conference, right, and if you qualify for the conference championship game in the ACC, the SEC, the Big 10, or the Big 12, and if you win that game, Brent, I think you deserve to be in the playoff. Maybe I'm in the minority there. What's your thought?
I would agree with you very much. I mean, look, it looks odd with Duke having the number of losses that they did, but if you're the conference champion, you should be in, frankly. Now, the odd thing about it for this year would have been if they'd have had certain rules, both Duke and Notre Dame would have qualified. Miami would not. I mean, how strange was that? What would that have been? And another thing about the playoff that we need to mention too is next year the playoffs basically would have been last night if we could forward back is what it amounts to. So what you've got here is next year in Las Vegas, your game will be on Monday, January the 25th, which is right now raising a lot of eyebrows and will be worthy of another discussion on another day. But the question is the season getting too long, and will we pay the price for that at some point? But as you know, Hank, until the end of this decade, the championship game is going to be played on January the 20-something. So that is going to be interesting to see if in the next round of playoffs, when the new contract is written up and agreed upon, will we have a situation to where, see, right now between the end of the SEC championship game and the beginning of the playoffs, for some teams, particularly if you have a bye, Hank, it's almost a month. Can you think of anything that has basically a month between the end of the regular season and the championship game for your conference, and then starting the playoffs? That's a bit long, is it not?
No, I completely agree. I don't like it. But next year, again, it's going to be basically a 5-month season.
Yeah.
It's going to start August 29th. It's going to end January the 25th. Again, the two changes to the playoff, same number of teams, 12. The differences in next year's playoff will be if you win the conference championship game for the Power Four, you're in. And if Notre Dame finishes inside the top 12, they are in. So those are the two differences. All right, you mentioned the schedule. The reason I know the schedule begins on August the 29th is Florida State will play on August the 29th.
Yeah.
I guess week 0 includes the Noles and that big battle with New Mexico State. The Seminoles schedule got released on Monday evening. And Brent, I'll tell you this, man, if Mike Norvell wants to save his job, good luck. That's a tough schedule. Let's begin with Labor Day. I don't know why Florida State and SMU are getting the Labor Day treatment, but that's your Labor Day game, Florida State and SMU. Florida State, Florida, back on Black Friday, November the 27th, which I don't mind. I hated it initially a few years ago, but it kind of grew on me. But I look at this schedule. At Pitt, at Boston College, Virginia, NC State, Miami, obviously, Clemson, at Alabama. You think those folks in Tuscaloosa will be ready for the Seminoles after last year?
Right.
It is a tough bear of a schedule for Florida State.
Well, and what's odd about the schedule is, I mean, we all grew up basically with games being played mostly on Saturdays. Well, what's odd about the FSU schedule is how many games that you've got on non-Saturdays. I mean, the September 7th game with SMU was on a Monday. You've got a Friday, October 9th at Louisville. You've got at Pitt on Friday, November the 13th. And then, as you mentioned, the Florida game. Hank, do you ever remember a Florida State schedule that had so many non-Saturday games as the one coming up?
No, and let's be honest, they don't put top 10 teams on Friday nights. I mean, that's where Florida State is. They put middle-of-the-pack ACC teams on Friday nights, and that's where Florida State has been put for a lot of these matchups.
Yeah, agreed. Now, one thing we need to also mention about the conference is the conference actually, I don't think we've ever had this before, actually has 4 ACC games on what they're going to call week 0. You've got North Carolina and TCU in Dublin, Ireland, Virginia and NC State in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, Hawaii at Stanford, and then New Mexico State at Florida State. So, heck, can we rename week 0 to ACC weekend or something of that nature?
Yeah, it seems to be the case. And again, Florida State, I mean, you're staring 1 and 2 out of the gate. You're going to beat New Mexico State. SMU is going to be tough. And then you get a bye week, and then you go to Alabama. And boy, those people in Tuscaloosa, they are going to be fired up to see Florida State on September 19th.
Yeah, they really are, especially after the fiasco that Alabama had at Florida State last weekend and last week. And Florida State was not able to capitalize on that. And by the way, for our listeners, just a reminder, and this is happening in all the way around, SEC included, ACC moving to a 9-game schedule, which makes it even tougher with all this that is going on. So we wanted to let folks know a little bit with the schedules coming out what was going on so they can anticipate that. So it's going to be some interesting non-conference games for the ACC, Hank.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. It's worth noting Miami's got a weird opener, too, at Stanford. I mean, of all the places to open up, you got to go across the country for your season opener.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And that game is on Friday, which is interesting. And then the following week, Miami plays on Thursday, and then the following week, Miami plays on Friday. So Miami will not be playing on a Saturday, Hank, until September the 26th. Do you ever remember anything like that in scheduling?
No, it's wild, but it's what the ACC has chosen to do, I guess, to try to get as many eyeballs on their product as possible. All right, you are an alum of the University of Alabama. Your brother does sports radio out in Alabama. You got the Crimson Tide blood flowing through your veins. So let me ask you, this Charles Bediako situation with Alabama basketball, I'm going to quickly summarize for people that have not heard about this. Alabama is going to play Florida on Sunday in college hoops, and this started last week. This is a young man that played at Alabama, went to the NBA draft, did not withdraw his name, went to the draft, did not get drafted, but he signed NBA contracts with the San Antonio Spurs and played in the G League for the last 2+ years. All of a sudden, because he has college eligibility left, even after playing in the NBA umbrella with the G League, he wanted to come back to Alabama. The NCAA said, I don't think so. And a judge in Tuscaloosa, who reportedly is a 6-figure donor to the University of Alabama, has allowed now 2 temporary restraining orders against the NCAA to let this guy play on the Crimson Tide basketball team. The NCAA is now petitioning the judge to recuse himself because obviously there's a conflict of interest there. But bottom line is, this kid, Charles Bediako, or I guess this man, Charles Bediako, is going to play for Alabama this week and likely suit up against Florida on Sunday. Todd Golden had all sorts of thoughts about this last week on his radio show. This is the Keystone Cops, Brent, right? I mean, this is a joke, correct?
Well, no, it's actually going on, but it is getting more bizarre all the time. Bediako actually played against Tennessee last Saturday in a game that the Vols won in Tuscaloosa 79-73. Bediako scored in double digits and played really a pretty good game. But the thing that's really drawing attention to this, and look, Bediako is not the only guy across the landscape that has been able to take advantage of this. And part of what's going on here is the NCAA is being challenged in these lawsuits, and they're basically losing a lot of those. Now, again, Bediako did not play in an NBA game, but he has played, as Hank said, in the G League. So when you're dealing with that in a lot of people's mind makes him look like a professional. They've got to get the judge situation straightened out and get an impartial judge instead of one who is you would say that really goes the technical term of being a booster. So that's got to be done. Now, part of what makes this even more bizarre is they were supposed to have some kind of a hearing on Tuesday, but one of the attorneys could not make it, and they delayed it for basically a week or so. So he's going to be playing this week. But it's and this is not just the Alabama thing. This needs to be straightened out across the board, Hank. Frankly, and look, right now with the situation with the NCAA and the lack of leadership, it's hard to say when and if it will get fixed.
I mean, we got to go quick here, but the argument Alabama's using and the other teams that are doing this are using is the international players. You know, international guys are playing professionally overseas, and some are coming over here to play college basketball, and that's all fine and well. But the G League is under the NBA umbrella. When you sign a 2-way contract, as Charles Bediako did with the San Antonio Spurs, you are signing an NBA contract. There's no way you should be allowed to come back to college after doing that. I mean, where is this going to stop? I mean, if Walter Clayton hypothetically doesn't like the minutes he's getting in Salt Lake City with the Jazz, I mean, he signed an NBA contract. Now, he's on the main roster, not the G League, but it's the same thing. Why can't he go back to Gainesville and get a Gator judge that's a booster to say, yeah, Walter Clayton, I'll give a temporary restraining order. We'll throw you back out there. You can play on Saturday against Alabama. I mean, it's nonsense.
Well, and Hank, frankly, if he pushed it, he probably would win that. or at least he would be allowed to play. So, yeah, well, we're in a bizarre position. Now, look, if you wanted to try to do this in the beginning of the year, back in November, December, I could see people being a little more open to it. But, I mean, we're close to being in February, frankly, is the other issue here, is what's going on. And real quick, may I add, SEC standings, Hank, when will we have seen this? Texas A&M leads the conference. Texas A&M now with Buckyball, Bucky McMillan. Arkansas is 2, Florida's 3, Kentucky's 4, and Georgia 5. How about that for a top 5 right now in the SEC?
Yeah, important week for Florida. They got their nose bloodied against Auburn. Auburn took it to them, and we'll see how the Gators respond because that was not good on Saturday. It's always good when we have my buddy Brent Beard on. You see him locally on First Coast News, and we get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, thank you as always, my friend. We'll talk next week.
Good. We'll look forward to it, bud, and who knows what other oddities that we'll deal with next week.
And thank you to my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. As, Florida State's schedule announced last night. There is nothing easy about the Seminole schedule. Labor Day against SMU. You got to play, obviously, Miami, Clemson, Florida, Alabama, at Pitt, Virginia, among others. For ACC standards, it is a brutal schedule, and we'll see. Obviously, Mike Norvell, we all know that a lot of Seminole fans did not want him back to begin with, and now he's got to deal with a bear of a schedule coming up here in 2026. So we certainly spent some time on that, as we did on the 12-team playoff returning. I like the idea that the conference championship game winners of the 4 Power 4 conferences get in. If you earn the right to play in your conference championship game and you win said championship game, meaning you are the champion of the conference, you should get in the playoff. For the ACC, the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC, remember, Duke won the ACC. They did not get in, even though they won the championship game. That will be remedied beginning next football season. So a lot of time on that, but as you can imagine, an overwhelming majority of our time tonight was spent on the big news here in Jacksonville. Both Grant Udinski and Anthony Campanile are returning, the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator, who took a combined 5 head coaching interviews. Camp talked with Miami, Baltimore, and Arizona. Udinski talked with Cleveland and Buffalo. But at the end of the day, both guys return to Jacksonville in 2026. What a win. And you know, it's only been 16 days, but it's been a long 16 days, right, since that loss to Buffalo. This is the first piece of real good news for the Jaguar fan base to celebrate. Maybe this is a turning of the page from last season and the disappointment to how it ended 2.5 weeks ago, to looking ahead to hopefully a very good 2026 campaign, again, with the announcement today that both Anthony Campanile and Grant Udinski are returning to Jacksonville in 2026. Well, that will just about do it, man. Very, very busy Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM, and we have a ton of people to thank. Again, my buddy Brent Beard, you see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Thank you to Zig Fracassi of SiriusXM NFL Radio for joining us to talk about the Jaguars, the coordinators, and the coaching carousel as a whole around the National Football League. Always enjoy talking with Zig. And back in hour number 1, Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4, as again, we did a deep dive into the return of both Campanile and Udinski. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Wednesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Aaron Williams was your producer tonight. Aaron, great job as always. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have a terrific remainder of your Tuesday night, and we will do it all over again tomorrow on a Wednesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then,